Hi, welcome back to another League of Legends commentary, and that is not a KDA that you see on supports very often. This is a game on support Thresh, building AD, this time taking Essence Reaver after the Rapid Fire Cannon, and of course Black Mist Scythe for the extra AD. It's a little hard to farm, but when you have a Blitzcrank on the enemy team and melee support, it isn't always that difficult. We have a first time Aphelios in our bot lane as well, and so yes, I do feel a bit guilty for taking so many kills, and as a support player at heart sometimes I do prefer to just support the team, but sometimes this is pretty fun. Hope you enjoy the replay. So we do have Pulsefire Prestige Thresh, which isn't that good a skin, let's be honest, but I had already saved up the prestige points before seeing how not nice it is. Still going to equip it just for the big PP energy. Blitzcrank going for the legendary hook in that bush, missing everything. And we are taking Spectral Sickle. Spectral Sickle gives you about 5 AD, which isn't very much. Though it's not far off a Doran's Blade, if we can make that comparison. You get 10 health, which is nothing, and 2 gold per second. And of course, the main thing, when you auto attack an enemy champion or tower, you get some gold. So you're going to see me go for a couple of pokes here. So Vayne, yeah, you see that terrible attack range on Thresh. Not quite able to touch Vayne right there. Let's go to the score display, it's kind of in the way. There we go. And put our vision off so we can see when Blitzcrank is being a sneaky boy. So Blitzcrank's very passive this game. He doesn't go for many yeet hooks, which I'm quite used to. Like there, I'm trying to bait hooks here. He just doesn't go for it. But as I said, he's a melee support, so occasionally I can just auto attack him, get some damage off, and then retreat to a bush to drop the minion aggro. You could use not relic shield, shoulder guards, steel shoulder guards. And that will give you a bit less AD. It gives you 24 as opposed to 35, but that's still pretty good. If you haven't seen the guide already, then go check that out. This video that I'm talking about, commentating right now, should come pretty much straight after the guide is released. The guide is already uploaded, it's just waiting to be published. Speaking of which, if you want to see all this new content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the bell so you see stuff when they come. Apparently, you really do need to plug your channel very, very, very often in the modern YouTube climate, so I'm going to go ahead and do that whilst we're just doing farming. So backing up because the enemy has a huge wave, and don't want to get Blitzcrank hooked into a huge wave, into a Vayne Condemn, into a Blitzy, into a blah blah blah. I do have some knowledge of Aphelios. I've played him once, so yep. But everyone at this point is still learning him, even those who are like Mastery 7 or whatever are probably still learning him, and he's probably going to be nerfed. Maybe, because a lot of people complaining about him, but people complain about everyone, so nothing's new. There we go, Vayne goes for the last hit, so I go on the last hit on her, which gets me a little more gold. And then we can make comparisons. I like to do this when I'm fighting either support to check if I'm ahead or not. I've got 135 gold, and he has 210, so he is ahead of me. I'm not quite doing my job very well. And that is the typical Spectral Sickle versus all Spell Thieves versus the Relic Shield type items. And that's just because Relic Shield is almost always available unless you're being poked out of lane, and if you're not playing someone with really easy poke range or auto attack range or spell range, then using Spell Thieves too often can be a bit difficult. I got a bit happy at the level 5, so I went in and we got some summoners, so that's very nice. We also of course got the all-important stacks of our Spectral Sickle. Brand starts coming in for the gank, so I'm going to try and Shinde loot myself. But in the meantime, I do try to get the kill on Vayne, and this time around, that's not going to work. Let's get rid of that, it's a bit annoying. So I dive to the AD carry. I'm still a support. I'm not playing AD carry in the support role, although that comes in a few minutes. So, yep, Warding Dragon, told you, I'm a support. And then we have the tower there. I would have probably stuck around and hit that a bit more, but I suppose I was scared of Blitzcrank. Sure, I think in retrospect I probably should have done that. The first item we've taken is Shard. The Energized Shard, which does plenty of magic damage, about 80 I believe. Yeah, 80 damage on Energized attacks. So Blitz doesn't engage and Kiana comes in to finish off. And that's when I'm going to do some damage to Kiana just with that hook that happened to connect. And then we see that Vayne is very low, and me being an AD Thresh guy, fail my play, but saw the opportunity and managed to beat her up. With Aftershock and things like that, I'm going to be able to tank this guy too. Aftershock is up. do some extra damage, and he realizes he can't out DPS me, especially when I've got attack speed and the shard burst coming up. So he runs away. Unfortunately, he does get away because I'm just not fast enough and I didn't have my crowd control available. Either way, our victory in bot lane, or my victory in bot lane, I should say, I suppose, because I 1v2'd, gets us a dragon, and dragons are extremely important in this Season 10 meta. Now we have Cloak, which isn't actually that useful. It's just 25% crit chance, which can occasionally mean you're lucky, but I don't like building around luck, especially when we're just doing one auto attack every like 10 minutes rather than two auto, millions of auto attacks every second. Or Tribush. So yeah, that's just because I can't quite afford Zeal yet. And Zeal itself isn't that good. The main thing is the rapid fire cannon power spike. So we go in here. Vayne uses her ult and is able to juke through the bush a bit to try and get a condemn onto Aphelios, but our combined damage is a bit too much for her, though I do get a little scared towards the end. Apparently he does too, because he flashes into her face for that bookshot that he had. Meanwhile, we can push the turret and hopefully get some turret damage, but then Brand, sneaky little Brand decides, hey, I can beat 3 people. No, you can't. So he dies, and I want to get some hits on this tower. Our pushing power not that great now that he's used up his flamethrower. And then we get a dive from the mid laner as well, because his mid laner is dead. I guess he was just bored. Evacuation on point. And then Vayne getting a little greedy on the Lee, or Lee getting a little greedy on the Vayne. It caused Vayne to get a little greedy, which caused me to get a little greedy, and I'm the one who wins in the end. Get a bit more hits on the tower. Let's compare the golds. Now we've got on our item, so has Blitz. So we are at 581. He is at 605. So we've started to close the gap. This is to be kind of expected. Unless you're majorly ahead, you're not going to be particularly poking, but Rapid Fire Cannon with the extra range is going to give us way more poking than we would have done before. That was a weird sentence to say. With Dragon coming up, I want to ward that soon, and I started to move in, and Brent did the biggest banana gank of all time, which gets me killed. That's okay, because it's not like I gave a shutdown bonus or anything. It's just a fun normal game, so we don't really have to stress about things like that. You shouldn't really stress about that anyway, that's how you lose ranked games. Okay, I should do some explanation of this build, because I realised I didn't do it that much in the guide. Oh, nice little slap there, by the way. So you take Spectral Sickle. You don't need to take Spectral Sickle, but it gives you AD. After about 20 minutes, when you get the 1000 gold, you'll get 35 AD in your Sickle, your Black Mist Scythe, or 24 AD in your Pauldrons of White Rock. And once you've got that, you use Rapid Fire Cannon to kind of launch that AD in your E 200% AD ratio. You're maxing E, by the way, not Q. And that lets you do surprising damage for a support. It's very comparable to... Nice, by the way. To any of those kind of made supports like Lux. Obviously, they can do a bit more damage, but they don't quite have this utility as well. And sustain damage as well, because you're building attack speed. Let's not forget about that. And as for runes, I'm not taking anything like Fleet Footwork, Dark Harvest, because that would be foolhardy and then we could never do an engage. If you take Aftershock as pretty normal, the resistances that you get from Aftershock and the burst will help you win the early game engagements and trades, and you can actually tank a bit rather than, being a wet noodle and dying. It's really easy to be a wet noodle and die in this current bot lane. I'm not exactly sure what's changed, besides spell peaks getting nerfed, so that doesn't make sense. But yeah, back to bot lane after a bit of a roam and getting a little Kiana kill. We're now 5-2-3. Yeah. Lots of things happening here. Poppy coming in for a gank, and I'm here ready to E her E. But apparently I forgot to do that when she went for Aphelios. Not quite hitting the wall, and Aphelios dies. Maybe my Lantern was a little bit out of position. He won't get some damage on Blitz, but his mana barrier does pop, and Lee Sin is unable to catch the Lantern in time. We're going to get some souls off of this whilst the enemy thinks about diving. There we go, there's the Blitz hook. But since I'm 5-2 with a rapid fire cannon, I'm not too afraid of the enemy. I'm going to do that sick, absolutely sick alcove banana maneuver before ignoring a ward and walking up here to help with a red buff. Of course, souls and the raptors take priority over any kind of team fight, and I was right to do that because no one else was going to get it. Kiana goes in on Teemo. I just about get the Lantern Shield on Teemo to save him from Kiana, and therefore Kiana dies the 6th time, not even able to get any kind of glorious kill. Now I'm going to solo Vayne, because that's what AD Thresh does. We're at the same level. The rapid fire cannon burst is always fun. I'm gonna miss my Q, but then she's gonna path a bit weirdly, and that's gonna let me get in range for the play. MOBAFire can giving move speed as well, by the way. Very, very good. Very useful for catching those little flays when the enemy doesn't quite have as much move speed as you. Also get Merc Dreads for the amount of crowd control that I'm expecting them to have, with Poppy, Kiana, Brand, and Blitz doesn't really do crowd control in the traditional sense. So yeah, getting a bit more gold amassed. We now have a bit of a bounty amassed as well, so we better not die anytime soon. 2 souls from the dragon. Of course, that's what we want dragons for, not for the buffs. And we now have Black Mist Scythe, because it's around, what is the game time, about 20 minutes? I'll say on the score display. Bring that back. Yeah, about 20 minutes. Consistently, you'll get it around 20 minutes, unless you have a really bad lane, in which case the gold per 10 will get it you by like 30 minutes anyway, or 25 minutes more realistically. Just remember to hit towers. If you can't get any hits in lane, then go roam, use your utility to secure a good gank, and then start hitting the tower a bit, because that gets you the Spellfree procs as well. Lots of damage on Kiana right there. If I was, of course, actual AD carry Thresh, then she would be insta-dead. Just remember, I spent like 400 gold, minus the 1,000 that it gives back, to get this Black Mist Scythe 35 AD, pretty much a BF sword. It's a BF sword that gives you money, which is pretty good. I believe once it's done, no, you get an increased gold per second of 3 gold per 10. I'm gonna die here because you know, AD Thresh might be good, but he's not that good. And unfortunately, Aphelios will be ulted into oblivion before we respawn, which is what we're really here for. Okay. So, starting to get a really underrated... What am I talking about? I was about to say underrated item on AD Thresh as if I had like a following. Really good item on AD Thresh that when people say AD Thresh or crit Thresh, they don't really think about things like this. They think about the 100% crits, or, you know, for some reason Trinity Force, they used to think that was absolutely stupid. But we're going for Dead Man's Plate because the 100 damage or 200 damage, whatever it is, that you get on Dead Man's Plate, magic damage I believe, will apply on your auto attack, which will apply on rapid fire cannon. You will not get a slow because you're not melee, but the speed boost also helps you get in range for those last auto attacks or for those flays. So double whammy of utility and damage. It's really good, though a bit expensive, a bit more expensive than your average Knight's Vow or Redemption anyway. About 75% into the game, sweeping around the Baron Pit and counter jungling because that's what supports do. Kiana goes in for a greedy kill because my health is below 50, but that's not quite enough. Hook through the stealth, get a bit of damage. Zara is just... he accidentally pressed ult, I remember. And me still looking for those pokes because I'm able to do that. It does take a bit of skill. You need positioning. You need to basically play like an AD carry or an AP carry, really. So it's not brainless right click because you're not very tanky, especially when you don't have Aftershock available. So you can be disappointingly weak sometimes. But if it wasn't for Aftershock, I wouldn't be able to do engages like that. I'm going to die to Vayne now though, because I went in a bit too far. That's my mistake. We're in it to have fun. Vayne completely cooked out of the pentakill by Teemo. And then we're going to come back in time for the Infernal Dragon. So here we go, we've got the Dead Man's Plate. If we look at the item, it is 1 damage per stack of momentum. So yeah, 100 damage. You can discharge it without it being full, but if you're playing AD Thresh in the AD Thresh style, then you're going to be doing plenty. You're always going to be at max stacks basically because you save your auto attack rather than, you know, discharging it and everything that you can. Anyway, that might be a weird word choice. Okay, so Brand dead. Not Brand, Kiana dead. Brand takes a big hit. That was full HP that he was at, but still a very nice, satisfying smack from the Dead Man's Plate. I believe this is when Kiana comes in. She's going to take a nice... from about 100 to 55% HP, and then is easily finished off by the pair of me and Aphelios. But Aphelios is going to die to that stuff. I'm trying to bait Vayne here, and then I get extremely greedy because I see that she's being burned by Teemo Shroom, and I don't have the speed. I do not have the speed to catch up to her. Maybe I would have if Brand didn't touch me, But Bren touched me, and I didn't appreciate that. So now we have Essence Reaver. Storm Razor and Essence Reaver both have equal claim to the throne that is AD Thresh Support builds. Nice damage, by the way. But Essence Reaver gives CDR, which helps you be more, gives you more utility, and makes you a bit more useful in terms of peeling people with Flay, throwing out more lanterns and stuff like that. But Storm Razor gives a slow on your auto attack, so you can do auto attack with Storm Razor and a rapid fire cannon, giving it good range, which can be followed up by a Q that is really hard for them to dodge because they're slowed. It's also really good damage. Storm Razor is better damage than Essence Reaver, typically, because of the 120 Energize, plus like 55 AD, plus crit chance. It's really good. Essence Reaver, of course, still really good, and we're taking it for the utility here. Teemo goes round to try to beat up Blitzcrank and send him away. We just about survive versus this Baron, very scary. And now we get Hex Drinker because we had no magic resist, and that's why we died to Brand earlier. Well, we had Merc Treads, but you know. Finally approaching the last few minutes of the game. We're about to get a couple kills, as you see on the timeline. Now we go down here, shield Lee Sin, mostly to try sneak some kind of assist. One-shot that Kiana, who was on low health and trying to do some weird kind of assassination play. Q together with Poppy. And then take another kill, because that's what supports do, right? I feel like I need to upload a normal support game that's so people don't look at me as scum of the earth. So AD carry main's really upset me right now watching this, or if they haven't already clicked off. Okay, trying to do some damage. Again, halving Brand's health bar with a support, mind you. A very fed support, but, you know. I have uploaded another game, or I will upload another game, where it's not quite as crazy as this one, but it's still going to be very fun to watch, and it's still fairly effective. And damage is a deterrent. Damage, if you can kill someone, that is even better than peeling them. Okay, jokes aside, we're going up for the next Elder Dragon. Very big, I was about to say very big dragon, very nice commentary. After Poppy's ult, we counter that with a bomb plant, do a lot of damage to Brand. I have to start backing up. Me and Teemo doing a bit of a 2v5 for a few seconds there whilst fighting the dragon, and Kiana trying to get onto Ophelia is probably the one person she might actually be able to kill. Whilst we focus on the dragon, because they're way too low to do anything about it now. Rain appearing, so I'm going to leave dragon for a bit and remind her, how pathetic she is compared to AD Thresh. Poppy tries some kind of steal. She does not have smite, by the way. She is no jungler. We've got a few more deaths to go, a few more kills to go. And we're doing the last little push with Team Mushrooms, clearing out the minion waves. Double demolishes rocking. Someone's about to die. Kiana dying in like 2 auto attacks. Okay, that wasn't all me. And then, you know, execute him with the dragon. We're about to execute this boy with the dragon sword. We've got Infernal Soul, by the way, which is insane with AD Thresh. Another thing that's insane with AD Thresh is Senna's soul. We'll go over that in another video, because it looks like this one is just about finishing up. You can see the build on the bottom left in the builds thingy on the scoreboard. And it's pretty good. You get AD, you get, what is this, 35 AD plus 70 AD, so about 105 AD, 125 AD plus 240 magic damage on hit, 340 magic damage on hit with a stacked Deadman's Plate, and overall pretty useful at the same time. You have CDR, you have move speed, you have tankiness, some of it, although not as much as you normally would have, and you don't have things like Knight's Vow, so AD carry maybe not benefiting as much. If you have a fed carry, or you're duoing with Gosu, maybe you don't want to do this because you're taking a bit too much gold from them when you should be buffing them with things like Knight's Vow. But this is hella fun, and I recommend doing it in normals at some point in your life. If you're a Thresh support main, it could be a breath of fresh air, or maybe you just won't like it at all. It's worth a shot if you've ever tried AD Thresh, because that is always a ton of fun. I hope you've enjoyed watching this replay. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe. Ring the notification bell to be notified of more videos, meme compilations and whatnot. And I'll see you guys in the next one.